Yeah. I spit raps like a heart attack. Fast, fatal, thought impact. Past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and packs. I back up my actions. Fact, don't ask. Grab reactions. Jacked attack with every word. Then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused. Call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now. Joker, rest in peace. Now you're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you just freaked out. Get ready for defeat now. I'm gonna make you bleed out. Listen on repeat now and bleed out all the week now. Get up and make a change. Remember yesterday. If you got something to say, speak your mind before your grave. Cause your life is yours to save. Ain't nobody gonna change. Everybody stays the same. So be different, make a name, huh?
I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. I'm marching till it's over, and just like a soldier, I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. I'm marching till it's over, just like a soldier. I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. I'm marching till it's over. Just like a soldier, I keep on moving forward, always getting closer, marching till it's over.
It's ridiculous, I'm sitting this meticulous and limitless. While others out there spitting got hits up on the charts and shit. I see why other artists quit, cause people don't reward your shit. They love to hate, but hate to live. Society, you swing and miss. And honestly, I get it. Promise me you won't regret it. Wasting energy, forget it. Don't look back, go on and get it. Bite the bullet just a bit. Bite your tongue and don't say shit. Make your racks hard to miss. Be a legend, not a myth. Yeah. It's obnoxious that I'm conscious. Rapping honest as promise. Try to harness. As an artist, stay modest. It's a wrong quest. I will not quit till 10,000 people going off. When I drop this, I gotta make it now. Swear to God, I'm breaking out. Swear to God, I'll kick about. Send the stage with the crowd. Cause I got it figured out. I'm just honest and I'm loud. Saying modest, but I'm proud. No, I never had a doubt. Yeah.
I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. I'm marching till it's over, and just like a soldier, I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. I'm marching till it's over, just like a soldier, I keep on moving forward, always getting closer. Marching till it's over. Just like a soldier, I keep on moving forward, always getting closer, marching till it's over.
Alright, hey guys, Cartoon Post here. So, without any further delay, I am finally going to be doing a MCU complete 2026 tier list. And now, for some reason, a lot of people don't include the Netflix Marvel shows from like 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Oftentimes, when talking about the entirety of the MCU, probably because when the MCU was first a thing in like phase 1, phase 2, whatever, when they had like the San Diego Comic-Con like panels and whatnot, in which they went over all of the upcoming Marvel phase 1, phase 2, all that stuff, those projects originally, I don't think they really talked about the Netflix shows. So that's probably why this tier list doesn't have like the original Daredevil or anything like that on here, but it does have Born Again. And just know that if the original Netflix Daredevil, ooh, what the heck happened? There we go. Just know that if the original Daredevil show was on here, it would 100,000% be in S tier. And okay, so just a super duper quick intro, I guess, context. I was someone who grew up watching the MCU phases 1, 2, 3. The movie that got me into the MCU was the original Iron Man back when I was a kid. I saw Endgame in theaters. I saw I saw Age of Ultron in theaters. I saw Captain America and Winter Soldier. I love the MCU and I loved the MCU a lot when I was a kid. But after Endgame, I basically kind of fell out of love with the MCU. I kind of stopped watching it and keeping up with it. And while I wasn't watching the new MCU stuff, I started listening to some YouTubers who like nonstop just completely bash and hate on everything modern MCU. But I decided like a year ago, you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna drown out all of the noise and just rewatch the entire MCU, everything that I've already seen, and then watch everything I haven't seen. And after a entire year, I finally did that. And yeah, without any photo delay, and by the way, one more thing. This is completely unscripted. Most of my videos have at least a tiny bit of a script. My last few videos haven't really been scripted, but yeah. So if I'm a little bit rambly or whatever, that's basically why. Oh, well, this is supposed to be like that. Okay. Original Iron Man. Obviously, S tier. Like I said, this is the movie that got me into the MCU. It's such a good movie. It's an amazing movie, and it's very brilliantly done. The best way to introduce a entire audience to not just a superhero, a character with Tony Stark, how they established him being a very flawed character who we will eventually see go on to improve as a character and a person in the entire trilogy, the entirety of the MCU, but also just this movie alone. Amazingly well done. Because that's honestly what makes this movie so awesome. Well, a lot of things make it awesome, but that's one of the things. How in this movie, when we begin watching this movie, in the beginning of it, Tony Stark is just this very soulless, um, like billionaire who sells weapons to who knows what and who knows where. They end up in the hands of terrorists and all that stuff, and then he eventually gets kidnapped by the terrorists. And I love how that is basically his legacy staring him right in the face, and him seeing firsthand how damaging his legacy has become and has kind of always been. And then he changes for the better. He gets a girlfriend with Pepper Potts. He becomes a superhero. He ditches the weapons making industry and instead just chooses to be a superhero. And I love how in this movie, see, the MCU doesn't really have a lot of characters who are vigilantes. Most heroes are publicly identifying superheroes in the movie, in the franchise, in the cinematic universe. But in this movie, he doesn't tell everyone that he's Iron Man until the end of the movie, and it's pretty fun seeing him try to just try to balance being like the guy in charge of this massive company while also being a superhero. And there's also the stuff with Obadiah Stane, and I like how he is introduced as a character who he seems like a pretty likable guy. At least I thought he was a likable guy. He seems like he has kind of like a mentorship with Tony Stark, a mentor type relationship or whatever. But then he's like super evil. He's the one that sent the terrorists after Tony, and he like builds this big Iron Man suit. So he doesn't. Okay, it was actually like a version of the original. Anyways, it's a great movie. Also, the music is amazing. I'm actually listening to Back in Black right now while I'm saying this in my headphones, so as to not get copyright striked. But it's very, very good. Amazing movie. And the visuals are amazing too. This was back before the MCU started heavily relying on CGI, and yet it looks amazing. The flying scenes, the action, they cooked and they knew what they were doing when making this movie. This is the best way you could begin a cinematic universe. They did an amazing job. Okay, the Hulk. This movie, or the Incredible Hulk, I mean. This movie isn't terrible. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's not amazing either. Probably C. This is like the first MCU movie that wasn't amazing, wasn't this huge, undeniable success. It seems to have probably done well financially because it wasn't the death of this new cinematic universe, but there's not really much to it, in my opinion. Like, yeah, there's some emotional scenes between Betty and Bruce, and there's stuff where he's trying to control his anger, but it's really just a movie full of a bunch of action. The action is pretty good, but other than that, it's really just an action movie, not like a movie that makes you leave it thinking, wow, that was an event. Oh, wow, that was amazing. Oh, wow, I really felt something while watching that. No, it's just a decent movie. It's not horrible, but it's not amazing. Okay, Iron Man 2. This one is, kind of tricky. Because the original Iron Man was very good. Iron Man 2, I do think is a good movie, but it's like a mess of a movie. It could have been amazing like the first movie, but due to a ton of like, studio executive meddling, like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. This is like the Spider-Man 3 of the Iron Man trilogy, in my opinion. It's good, but it's kind of like messy, and a lot of the best parts of the movie were cut short. There was originally supposed to be more to it. I especially love in this movie how we see Tony struggling with alcoholism, and he's like giving into his alcoholist like tendencies because he thinks he's dying. And I do actually love how in this movie Tony is kind of like gripping with the idea, if he's dying, how is he gonna spend his last days? And so he does kind of go after WoW, and then there's a fight between him and Rhodey as War Machine. That stuff was amazing. Whiplash, he was kind of cool in the fight scene that he had originally with Tony, but then he kind of gets sidetracked, and they should have done a lot more with him. Uh, Hamo, he was pretty cool. But yeah, oh, also Black Widow. Black Widow actually stole the show in this movie. She was awesome in this movie. But yeah, how it stands, I would say probably B. Better than the Hulk, but nowhere near as good as the original Iron Man movie. But it could have been if it didn't have so much executive meddling. The original Thor movie, I would say that's an A tier movie. A lot of people think it's like a boring movie. I think if you rewatch it, it actually holds up so well. I love how much heart the movie has. And not only is Loki awesome villain who steals the show, obviously. Everyone knows that. Tom Hiddleston is amazing as Loki, but I just it's a fish out of water story, done very well. You got this super big, powerful, godlike character, well, literal Greek gods or whatever, Thor. Fandom HQ26. Hey, bro. Hey, sup? Welcome to the stream. Just talking about Marvel stuff. Talking about Thor right now. Yeah, I think this is a very, very good movie. Is it as good as Ragnarok, which is the Thor movie that everyone loves? Honestly, it might be a tie, in my opinion. I think it's a very good movie. But yeah, it's awesome, and I love how throughout the movie, Thor has to he has all of his powers taken away from him, and he's basically like completely useless. Like the world keeps like basically punching down on him, but by the end of the movie, he has to like woke back to like he has to own his powers back, and it's awesome. And then him with Jane. Jane is a good love interest and side character. But yeah, Captain America, the first Captain America. This is also a movie that nowadays some people say was kind of boring. It's not as good as the second and third Captain America movie, but I would say it's also probably an A tier movie. I you would say S tier for Captain America. It's I would say it's a very great and awesome movie. I think the Red Skull is super cool and an awesome villain in this movie. Captain America 1 is peak. It is very peak, honestly. Hmm. Honestly, yeah, it might be S tier. Yeah, you convinced me. It didn't take much, but you convinced me. I love how, like, this movie establishes how brave and selfless of a character Steve Rogers is for seemingly no reason. Like, he is this small, scrawny guy. He is very weak, but yet he is the first person to jump on a bomb to save everyone else. Like, that scene where he's like, everybody get down, even though it's a fake bomb. That is an amazing scene. And yeah, it's amazing. I love this movie. Um, and then, oop, what just happened? Oh, this is supposed to be right there. Okay, the original Avengers movie. Now, this movie is also very iconic, very amazing and great. This was the movie where they all came together for the first time. Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hawkeye too, who was he debuted in the first Hulk movie. He was kind of forgettable in that movie, honestly, but you know, uh, this is a great movie. I would say probably, hmm, I would say probably A tier. It is an amazing movie. Loki is the villain again, and he he comes back to Earth with like this big army, and that's like the final fight scene, the Avengers fighting the army of aliens. Great action. And the movie has a lot of great action. Oh, I love the scene where like they are all basically fighting against Thor when Thor shows up for the first time. And I love how Hulk is in this movie when he hulks out and all that stuff. Him chasing after Black Widow, that scene had a lot of like was very tense. Um, the only thing that I would say about this movie is the first like 10 or 20 minutes. It's a little bit slow. It has a slow beginning, but once it gets started, it is a moment in cinema. And as people say superhero movies on cinema, I don't care what they say. Avengers Zone is a great movie. It's also nostalgic. It is very nostalgic. I love it. It's a very great movie. I just wish the first 10 or 20 minutes had a bit of a quicker pace, but it's an amazing movie. Iron Man 3. Now, this one is very controversial. A lot of people do not like this movie because of how they handled the Mandarin. And if you wanted a like comic accurate version of the Mandarin. I'm saying this as someone who doesn't read the comics, but I do know that he is very different in the comics from what I know about the comics. I get why you would be upset at how this movie handled it, but I think the twist villain did work very well for what they were trying to do in this movie, and especially now that the MCU would eventually revisit the Mandarin and all that stuff, I think that also makes the blow that this movie had a lot better. I think this is an amazing movie, and actually, it's not as good as the first Iron Man movie, but I would say it is right below it. It's right below the original Iron Man movie. Also S tier. It's a very fun movie. You subbed to me. Ah, thank you. Thank you for the sub. But yeah, Iron Man 3. This movie I loved when I was a kid, so I am a tiny bit biased. Like I watched this movie all the time. Um Happy, he was very great in the movie. At the beginning of the movie, obviously, because he gets hospitalized and he's not in like the entire movie, but he was very great at the beginning. Aldrich Killian, I know he's not the villain that everyone went into the movie wanting, but he was a very great villain. Not the best villain, obviously, but he was a good villain for the movie. I liked all the stuff with Extremis. That was a good plot. And the thing I love most about this movie, though, is how this movie takes Tony Stark out of the Iron Man suit for most of it. And this movie is the character having to rely on his intelligence to fight against the bad guys. I love that. Like you see him like creating a bunch of gadgets to fight the bad guys and all that stuff. Are you excited for Spider-Man Brand New Day? I am so hyped for that movie. It looks so good. But Yeah, so Iron Man 3, S tier. So, the Dark World. I would say E. Oh, F. But there's no F. Oh, I keep accidentally moving that. Okay, yeah. So, the Dark World. This movie made me so like sad after I rewatched it because like there were certain parts of this movie where I felt like okay, this could be something cool. It's a Thor movie with a darker tone than the original, a darker vibe. Um, I liked I liked some of it. It is also a very important movie. This is the movie where when you think Loki dies, this is you got Thor teaming up with Loki, and then Loki seemingly makes a sacrifice to save Thor, and you got what else was I thinking? Oh yeah, it's also when Thor's mother dies in the movie, which is a very sad and important moment for the character. And you got the stuff between Jane and Thor, which is also pretty good in this movie. But yeah, it's just the villain is so forgettable. The knighting was just it was. And the thing about this movie, not only is it also very forgettable, it's very mid, but in a way that is so irritating that I can't help but put it. And I'm gonna make this F. F. Yeah. Um yeah, it's just like if there was some scenes in the movie that were amazing and made me feel like this could be a great movie, but it feels like a half finished movie. That's my issue with it. This movie honestly should have been longer, I think. There was so much more that they could have done with the villain. The villain is so forgettable, and yeah, it's just it feels like a half baked movie. So disappointing. Now, Captain America Winter Soldier. This movie, one of the best movies in the MCU. I this movie made Captain America so cool, like so awesome, such a great character. I love how this movie S plus, yeah, S is the highest that this tier list goes, but if there was an S plus, it would go in S plus. Yeah, I love the stuff where it's like Captain America is shown to be like he can do this all day. That whole thing. How he does not give up even when like the entire world is coming after him. The government is after him. Shield is after him. Oh, the elevator scene. That was an amazing scene. Oh, I love that fight. Oh, also the vehicle scene, the vehicle chase with Nick Fury. Nick Fury was so like badass in this movie. Bucky is also peak. Yes, he is. Bucky is amazing in this movie. And I love how at the end of the movie, spoilers by the way, I'm gonna spoil basically almost every movie that I talk about. How Bucky the scene where like Bucky is like fighting and trying to kill Captain America. He's saying to Steve, you are my mission," and Steve says, "Well then finish it, finish your mission, because I'm not gonna fight you, Bucky." Oh, so good. And then how he saves him from the lake at the end. Such an amazing movie. Oh, I love it so much. Um, Guardians of the Galaxy. This is an also S tier movie. This movie is amazing. The cast is amazing. Though that can be said about all the other movies I talked about already, but yeah, I love what I love most about the Guardians movies. And honestly, I like them more than the Avengers movies overall because the Avengers movies are amazing. They are these big superhero team up movies, or you got all the like main superheroes coming together to fight against a big common threat, to kind of quote the thing. But the Guardians movies are really films about these like very broken, damaged characters who like have been dealt such a like bad hand, but they come together as like a family. And like you got the final scene of the movie, or not final scene, but like the big like moments at the end where the power of like the Infinity Stone or whatever is like so like powerful that it's killing it's killing Saul Loads as Peter is trying to hold on to it, and so like they all hold each other's hands and like hold on to it. Like the Guardians, they like completely come together. They go from being a bunch of basically criminals and whatnot. They are criminals. They go from being a bunch of criminals that want each other dead and like out just constantly like not functioning very well at all as a team to like being a family to being a family. It's amazing. Also, it's a very funny movie too. I love the music in it, and there's so many funny iconic moments. It is really good. I like the scene where Peter Quill sends a message to Novico saying that they are here to help and they are not total a-holes. And then the like officer is asked by the lady in charge if he thinks that they can trust what Peter was saying. And then the officer was like, well, I don't know if I would say anyone is 100% an a-hole. When the lady was asking, like, do you think he's telling the truth by they are here to help? But that was a funny scene. Yeah, it's an amazing movie. I love it so much. Ooh, why do I keep on accidentally moving that? I gotta stop doing that. Okay. Avengers Age of Ultron. This movie I love a lot. I know I think okay, well, I gotta go to rest. Have a good rest of your day. Yeah, have a good day too. Thanks for tuning into the stream. Okay, Avengers Age of Ultron. I would say it is basically on the same level as the original Avengers movie. I would say hmm. The main thing about this movie is that it's a little messy when it comes to the pacing a tiny bit, like halfway through. There are certain scenes and pieces of this movie that feel like they were mandated, like how you have Thor getting this vision of what's to come with Ragnarok and whatnot, and so like he kind of goes off to do his own thing for a tiny bit. That kind of felt like a odd side quest, and some stuff like that. But overall, this is a great movie. I like how this movie shows how Hawkeye is a character that has his own family. He has like a farmhouse that he lives on or whatever. That was pretty cool. The highlights, I would say, are definitely Ultron. Ultron is amazing in this movie. He steals the show. Such a big, threatening, menacing villain who I hope they bring back. And it's interesting how he was invented to like stop all the violence and all that stuff in the world, and he sees that mission that he was programmed to try to want to fix. He was programmed by Tony Stark to want to fix that and do that mission. He interprets that as humans are the problem because of how violent humans are. And so he wages a complete all out attack on humanity. That was pretty cool how he did that. And oh, also there's a Hulkbuster scene. Oh, that was so fire, such a fire action scene. And also Vision. Vision is great in this movie. Great introduction to the character of Vision. How I like how he is neither Ultron or Jarvis. I like how he says that. He's seen as very. I, I like how like wise he is in that scene between him and Ultron, and also the line. Well, I was born yesterday. That was funny. Yeah, it's just a great movie. I would say. Uh, Maverick 77 Defender, I love Captain Marvel. I do think that movie is actually overhated. I like that movie too. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, okay. I thought it was a good movie. Age of Ultron. And now Ant-Man. Ant-Man, I would say would probably be in B. It is a pretty good movie, but it's kind of like one of the first MCU movies excluding, I guess, the two down here. But like the first MCU movie that just kind of feels like it's kind of going through the motions. It's like got the formula of like a fun superhero flick, but isn't like anything amazing. But it's also a fun movie. It's a good movie. It's a fun heist movie. I like the heist elements. I like how it's I like how Scott is just father who he's not a bad guy. He's just he's kind of like Sandman in Spider-Man 3. Actually, he's not a bad guy. He's just like a guy who's made kind of bad choices, and like him becoming the superhero. Ow, 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 ow! Just like pulled my leg for a second. Ah, give me a second. Ouch. Okay, that kind of sucked. But yeah, mm. Also the stuff with Darwin. Darwin is actually kind of a weak villain, actually, in my opinion. Um, it was brutal though. The scenes where like he turned that goat into just what was that? Like just like a drip of slime or whatever DNA. That was very brutal. Oh, I love the scenes though. How this movie has scenes with like the characters shrinking, and then you got everything around them being big, like the Thomas the Tank toy in Cassie's bedroom. The entire action scene in that house in the bedroom was very fun. It's a very fun movie. It's just not like groundbreaking in my opinion, but it's a fun movie. Captain America has received an A grade cinema score from audiences, and that just goes to show you that out of the grifters on YouTube who say that it's a horrible movie, everyone hated it, they don't know what they're talking about. But yeah, okay, moving on to Captain America: Civil War. This is also an S tier movie. One of the things I love most about this movie is how it handles the conflicts and the politics in the movie from a way that is so nuanced that you could walk away from the movie thinking a completely different side in it was correct. There were so many people that will team Iron Man, and so many people that will team Captain America. You got Tony Stark. His argument is that superheroes are too dangerous and destructive, self-destructive on their own, that they need to be regulated by the government. But then Captain America, Steve Rogers, his arguments is that the government cannot be trusted, and that was shown fiercely in Captain America Winter Soldier. Can we really trust them to be in charge of what this like massive team of very powerful, dangerous superheroes, superhumans, all that stuff, what they do, where they get sent? And I go back and forth, honestly, between if I side with Iron Man or if I side with Captain America. And the fact that you can even have that talk after watching this movie doesn't really make it clear who is exactly in the correct side and whatnot. I love that. There's also amazing action. Zemo was awesome. A lot of people don't like Zemo in this movie. They say that he was underwhelming, but I think it was brilliant how they handled Zemo as being this villain that indirectly attacks the Avengers by pitting them all against each other. And I love the idea, like how this movie handles his plan being to tear a house down from within. Like, if you can have the people that make up your group of enemies fight each other, you don't have to fight them. That was brilliant how they handled him. And then, Black Panther, he saw the scene in that moment. So he shows up and he tells Zemo that vengeance has consumed him. And then also you got Spider-Man being introduced in the MCU in this movie. And this is like the perfect way to quickly introduce Spider-Man into the MCU. They don't do like a full-on backstory. And I know a lot of people wish that we did get to see like the Uncle Ben stuff in the MCU. I would still like to know what this universe's Uncle Ben was like. I guess he seems to have just been like a bit of an absentee father figure or something. I don't know. Not like that important to the character's journey in the MCU. But I like the line that he tells Tony Stark that, like, when you can do the things that he can but don't, and then the bad things happen, they happen because of you. That one line makes it so that we can skip over the entire origin stuff, because we know from that line what kind of a character Peter Parker is in this universe. And yeah, amazing movie. Okay, catch up on the chat. Captain Marvel. Oh yeah, okay. I hope Brie Larson is in Avengers Doomsday the MCU. Oh, in Avengers Doomsday, the MCU. I think Brie Larson and Mackie will lead Secret Wars. Uh, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they'll be characters in the MCU. Doomsday is a cameo fest movie, so will make billions. I agree. There's a very good chance that that movie will make a lot of money, especially with them bringing back Robert Downey Jr. You can say what you want about that decision, them casting him as the villain, Doctor Doom. You could say that it's kind of desperate of them to make money, but either way, desperate or not, it's gonna make them a lot of money. So, nostalgia bait, yeah, it does seem like it could be a movie with a ton of nostalgia bait. I have concerns about Doomsday, but I am so excited about it because I don't know. I love Marvel and the characters that will be in the movie. I'm excited for it. I'm a little cautious about it, but I am looking forward to it. Okay, Doctor Strange. This was a great movie. I would say, ah, S tier. Oh, A tier. I mean, uh, I could put it in S tier, but it's not quite at S tier. I don't think. But I think it's an amazing movie. Honestly, maybe it is S tier. Hmm. I would say A tier. Dormammu was very cool in this movie, but the main reason why it's not in A tier is the main villains aside from Dormammu at the end. He's kind of like at the end of the movie. He's got like henchmen working for him, kind of like how Loki was working for Thanos in the first Avengers movie. The main guys that were the antagonists throughout the movie, I find them kind of a little bit forgettable. I know they were also like sorcerers and they were like magic and whatnot, and so that is kind of cool. And like they were a threatening presence, but just kind of forgettable. But with that said, I love how, in many ways, kind of like Tony Stark in the original Iron Man movie, we see Stephen Strange in this movie. He is kind of like a douchey character. He is very full of himself, but then he gets humbled when he can no longer be this big top doctor when his hands stop working, and the struggle that he like goes through to like study the crafts of being a magician, a sorcerer, and whatnot, to then be able to do stuff despite his hand injury and all that stuff. It's amazing. It's an amazing movie. And out of the magic scenes, the reality warping, that was all super duper cool. And oh, I love the scene in the hospital where he bumps into his love interest again. Oh, what's her name? Why am I forgetting her name? Um, Christine. He bumps into Christine, and then he's like astral projecting, and she's all freaked out. That was an amazing scene. Um, yeah, I liked it a lot. Okay, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This movie is also S tier. In fact, honestly, I like this movie more than the original Guardians movie. They are both amazing though. I know some people like the first one more than the second one, but I'm one of those people that like the second one even more. Mainly because of a few things. Ego. Man, he's such like a menace in this movie. He shows up as like, oh, he is Peter's father coming back to reconnect with him. And you see how, Peter Quill, he wants to believe that his father is, how he's talked about him. Because, like, he tells Gamora about how when he was a kid, he used to go around telling other kids that his father was, like, David Hasselhoff and whatnot. And he wants to believe that Ego, when he shows up, he is the father he's been needing all along and whatnot. But then by the end of the movie, Yandu, who was in the original movie and whatnot, he gets even more time to shine in this movie, and he he shows up and is like, Peter sees that like Yandu, he's actually the one that's there for him as his actual father, and I love that. That was amazing. He was the dad he wanted all along. Even though he wasn't perfect. And I also like the moments where Yandu and Rocket Raccoon are like bonding, with like how they're both the same, as Yandu says. You know, you're the same, you and I. Like they are both people who put up this a-hole image because you know they're very insecure and whatnot. And yeah, and also this movie is just like Fozo brings along the okay, that sentence over again. This movie further continues the story arc and character arc of the Guardians becoming more of a family and not just a team of misfits. And yeah, it's amazing. Also, Mantis is pretty cool in the movie, and it's a very funny movie too, like the original. And oh, also, I almost forgot to mention, talking about how much of a menace Ego is in the movie, that scene where he like nonchalantly tells Peter Quill, yeah, and you know, it broke my heart when I gave your mom cancer. And then he was like, what? And then he like just completely went into attack mode. You killed my mother. That was that was amazing. Amazing scene. And yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming. I would say A tier movie, I think. Yeah, I would say probably A tier. It's not the best of the home trilogy movies, but honestly, it's probably, I don't care what people say, S tier. I love the stuff that they did with Vulture. The thing that I love most about this movie, though, is how this is a Queens Spider-Man movie. This is a movie that takes place in Queens. This is a very your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man movie. This isn't Spider-Man swinging through the highest skyscrapers and skylines of New York. This is him as a up-and-coming teenage superhero, and I love the moments in the movie where like he helps a lady with like a smile task, and she gives him a shovel, and he stops the bike thefts and all that stuff. That stuff was very, very awesome. And then it's also amazing how this movie shows how Spider-Man like I like the stuff in the movie where he has to come to the realization that if he is nothing without the suit, he shouldn't have it. That was an amazing theme in the movie. Him breaking free from Iron Man, like them having that um breakup scene, basically, for lack of a better way of putting it. And he's on his own, and he's got the homemade suits, and I love the if this may be my day, oh, if this is my day, or whatever it is, where he's like lifting the big pile of rubble on top of him. That was super cool. The bridge scene was amazing. Very very good action in this scene, even if a lot of the CGI may be a little bit unfinished looking in retrospect. But yeah, amazing movie. One of my favorite scenes though is the vehicle scene where Peter and Adrian Toomes, the Vulture, they are both in the same vehicle together because plot twist in the movie, amazing plot twist. Liz's dad is the Vulture, the villain of the movie, and then Spider-Man and the villain are both sitting in this vehicle because he's being driven to the homecoming dance, and we see as like Vulture is like slowly starting to piece together. But why do you look and sound? Why do you sound so familiar? And then like Liz is describing how he always disappears, and then like while they are at the red lights, the reflection of the lights on Vulture's face goes from red to green, which is the color of Vulture's like iconic costume and whatnot. This is yeah an amazing movie. In okay, so Ragnarok. Also, I would say, hmm, honestly, probably S tier. The first Thor movie, A tier, but Thor Ragnarok, yeah, after thinking about it a tiny bit more, this is S tier. Very, very fun movie. Super fun, very fresh, new direction for the Thor movies. And I love the way that Immigrant Song was used in the action scenes. Very, very epic. I love the so much stuff that I could talk about in this movie. The fight scene between Thor and Hulk. Yeah, so he loses his hammer, and then he like feels very defeated after that. But then Odin, he tells him, "Are you Thor, god of hammers, or are you Thor, god of thunder?" And then like yeah, all the lightning and all that stuff coming out of him, and the Grandmaster, he's a very funny and fun character in the movie. And Hela is such a threatening villain. How she comes to Asgard and like basically kills everyone. Insane. And yeah, Hulk is pretty great too in the movie. And Valkyrie, she's a great new character in the movie, introduced in the movie. And you got Ragnarok. It was actually a pretty cool twist how, like, the thing that he's been trying to prevent this entire movie, Thor has to realize, wait, Ragnarok? Maybe that's the answer. Because that, he has to set free the big, giant, like, demonic thingy, monster, creature, voiced by Clancy Vaughn, by the way. He has to unleash him onto Asgard, the place, to defeat Hela. And I love the whole theme in the movie how Asgard is not a place, it's a people. That was amazing. You got Thor and Loki reconnecting and Loki joining Thor's side. And that was very awesome in this movie. Yeah. Oh, also Kog. Kog is very funny. Kog and Meep. Okay. Now, I kind of have a controversial opinion about Black Panther. Okay. Enough time has passed, in my opinion, to say, yes, I know why Black Panther was such a big moment. It was one of the first, like, obviously Blade existed and was a very big movie too, but Black Panther was just like a great movie for black kids who may have not felt fully represented in superhero movies. You got like this almost fully black cast movie, excluding like the white guy um, who gets brought to Wakanda, but excluding him, like this is a great cultural movie, a great movie for the culture, and in many ways, it is a great movie. But it's very, in my opinion, the first half of it is kind of slow when it comes to the pacing. I wish it had faster pacing, but Killmonger, he was a great villain. I liked how, like, he was obviously a menacing figure. Um, he killed so many people in the movie, but you also can kind of see where he was coming from. He is this character who felt abandoned by Wakanda, his people, and we see how being a civilization that is isolationist is really bringing so much trouble to Wakanda. And by the end of the movie, uh, T'Challa and the entirety of Wakanda, they come to the realization that, or maybe not the entirety of Wakanda, there's probably people in Wakanda in the movie who would have opposed it, but like Wakanda comes to the realization that they have to like open up and start sharing what they know, their technology, all that stuff with the rest of the world. And also that guy from Avengers Age of Ultron, Claw is his name. He comes back in this movie. He's also quite a menace. And I love I love Chadwick Boseman as a character. He is amazing as a character, and I love the aspects of this movie that are him grappling with the leaders of Wakanda that have come before, and I like the scene where he tells the one guy that he cannot answer for all of the decisions made by the past leaders of Wakanda. He is the leader now, going forward, and that was pretty cool. And yeah, he's a great character. I just wish the movie was a lot faster in the first half. It picks up in the second half, and this movie has a lot of great action. But the first half of the movie is just it's kind of too slow for me, honestly. So I would probably put in. Okay, definitely not F. Not trying to put it in there. I would say B. Avengers Infinity War. This movie is obviously amazing. Very, very amazing. Honestly, probably the best Avengers movie. They brought all of these characters together, and the writing is so good, I would say. And the way that this movie, it's basically like a Thanos movie. A lot of people say that, but it's kind of true. This is like the most well developed like villain, one of the most at least that the MCU has had. We see why he's doing what he's doing. Though for the record, Thanos was not correct. A lot of people kind of think that it's kind of a meme too, but like yeah. But you got the big action sequences and then you got like the ending of the movie. That's like one of the biggest, most memorable things about the movie. How this is a movie that breaks free from the MCU superhero tradition. How like it ends with the villain winning. It's just like such a crazy final like just like a crazy final moment to leave everyone off on at the edge of those seats, waiting for like what comes next. There's also the scene of all the characters, half of the superheroes being dusted, and you got Peter Falco because of his spider sense. He already knows it's coming before everyone else knew that they were gonna get dusted, and he says to Tony Stark, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. That scene, very emotional. And yeah, it's amazing. But it also, I do not want to understate how this movie kind of did the impossible with that many characters that were in this movie. But yet, it was such a, like, great movie. Like, it didn't feel too over cluttered or anything like that. Okay, Ant-Man and the Wasp. This movie, I like quite a bit too. I would say probably also be like the first anime movie. One thing that I like about this movie that I know a lot of people kind of don't like. A lot of people say that like the villain is very forgettable. She is kind of forgettable. Ghost. If you view her character as just a villain character, but that's the thing. This movie doesn't really have a straightforward villain. Because the villain, the antagonist, and the protagonist, they're all kind of trying to get the same thing. They're trying to tap into the quantum realm. They're trying to like Ghost has these abilities that are very very damaging to her life and all that stuff. And uh, it, there might be a thing where like she's eventually gonna die because of it too, or something like that. I might be misremembering. I had to watch all of this. But that was pretty cool how those heroes and the villains they ended up basically teaming up at the end of the movie because they both like they were trying to get the same thing. And then you got you know, Ant-Man and the Wasp trying to bring back, you know, Hank's wife, the original Ant-Man, his wife. Okay, okay, in my defense for having brain farts in this live stream, I was working today, and it's like 11:30 p.m. But yeah, this is a fun movie. It's just like there's not a ton to it. It's not like a huge thing. But that's kind of like the thing with most Ant-Man movies. Well, at least the first two of them. The very much smaller scale movies, they aren't like this massive event. You get what you get with Ant-Man movies. It's a good movie, just not amazing. But Captain Marvel. This movie I do like quite a bit. Oh, come on. Okay. Would I say B or would I say A? Honestly, I don't think I would say A. Ugh, come on. Maybe I would say A. Yeah. It's better than the other movies down here. Better than Iron Man 2, Ant-Man. I liked it more than Black Panther. And it is better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, okay. A tier. Captain Marvel. It is a very good introduction movie to her character. You have this Kree part of her that's unemotional, that is an amazing fighter and competitive. Then there's this human part of her that is flawed, but it's also the thing that she ends up leading by. It's the thing that gets her in trouble, but also the thing that makes her great. And those two sides rolling against each other is what makes her her. Yes, 100%. That was very well said. Very well said. Yeah, Carol Danvers is very good in this movie, and yeah, I like how she is this character who she forgot who she is after she was turned into this Kree soldier, and when she comes back to Earth, she is reminded of who she is. Especially when she goes to the house and meets her old best friends and then her daughter, all that stuff. Monica, the kid Monica, how she reminds her who she is, and that was amazing. Captain Marvel is the longest goodnight Jeannie Davis, but in space. Jason Bourne. I'm not sure I fully get the reference, but but yeah, this movie it's very good. Yeah, I like how throughout the movie we think that Carol Danvers is fighting the good fight. She is on the good guys team, the Kree soldiers who are fighting against this invading army of aliens, the Skrulls, and whatnot. But then we learn it's actually not so black and white. And it's actually a pretty good like message about immigration and stuff too. Very good theme how like yeah, they are the species that's like invading the planet, the Skrulls, but they're invading because they are fleeing from captivity and they are, you know, looking for a place to go. I love the dogfight plane battle between versus the yep, that's a great scene. It's like the Independence Day fights. Oh, also you got Agent Coulson, he's back in this movie after dying in Avengers. I know he got brought back in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but in the main MCU timeline, he's dead. But he's brought back because this movie takes place back in time, back in like the 80s or whatever. You got young Nick Fury, he kicks some butt. Between Will Smith and the alien spaceship through the mountain valleys. The one thing that I don't like about this movie if I may say, is I don't like the end credit scene because it was like a funny meme. How the cat, the Floken in the movie, the cat is going to be how Nick Fury lost his eye, and yeah, it's funny. He lost his eye, and the reason why he has an eye patch is because of a cat scratching his eye. But also, it kind of just like makes it a little bit less cool how he in Captain America Winter Soldier, he like lifts up the eye patch. He's like, you know, he says to the villain of the movie, "You gotta keep both eyes open." And he there's also the line where he's like, "The last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye, but now canonically that was just like a cat alien." That's what he was referring to. My headcanon is that end credit scene doesn't exist. I just don't like the end credit scene. I love the Captain Marvel theme song. Yeah, the music is pretty good in the movie. Most of the MCU movies actually have very good soundtrack and music. But yeah, I don't care what the anti-woke grifters on YouTube say. This is a good movie, and I like that, and I think Brie Larson is very good as a character. Okay, Avengers Endgame. Monsters vs. Aliens animated movie. Huh. I think I have seen that when I was a kid, but I don't love it. Reminds me of the main heroine. Huh. Okay, Avengers Endgame. I would say S tier. Is it as good as, say, the original Iron Man movie, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Civil War? Is it as good as Infinity War? No, it's not as good. But I think it belongs in S tier because it's not as good as the other movies in S tier. But it's not just a movie. It's like the conclusion to this big, the Infinity Saga. And it's this big, epic finale and conclusion. And it's very satisfying. I love the big final fight. The time travel scenes, that was very fun. It's a very fan servicey movie, but like it's justified in this movie, I think. And yeah, I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was very. I saw it in theaters, and it was a very big moment to see like this finale to this story that we've been following for like 10 years. And they definitely delivered. Like, they knew it could have been better in many ways. Like, obviously, the time jump kind of makes it so that we don't get to see a lot of the scenes and moments of like characters grieving the loss of what happens at the end of Infinity War. That's kind of a missed opportunity to see what happens in the blip. Best scene is when Captain Marvel destroys Thanos' ship. Oh yeah, that was pretty cool. Um, I love the scene where Captain America, Steve Rogers, he is in an elevator and it's like mirroring what happens in the beginning of the elevator fight scene in Winter Soldier, but instead of like a fight breaking out, he knows that those guys in the elevator are Hydra agents, so he whistles to one of their ears, "Hail Hydra," and then like they give him what he wants, and he walks out of the elevator with him all thinking he's like a Hydra agent. That was an amazing movie. One of my other favorite scenes I just thought of when Tony Stark travels back in time and he meets his father, who he used to think was like a cold, heartless soul, and then he sees how nervous his father is about if he's like worrying like if he's gonna be a good father, and how I like how he says that he hopes that his child doesn't grow up to become like him. And then Tony is like, well, what would be so wrong with that? And it's like the best conclusion to this character arc where like the sins of the father. Like Tony had daddy issues, but like he finally gets to put that behind him when he meets his father in the past as an adult. That was amazing. And also coming full circle, going from the very selfish character, egotist in the original Iron Man to then the I am Iron Man scene where Tony Stark sacrifices himself to bring everyone back. And, well, he's not the one that brings everyone back. Technically, that's Hulk. But, like, to fight and defeat Thanos, the final sacrifice, amazing. One thing that I do have a complaint about this movie, though, is how, like, the death of Black Widow is kind of brushed past kind of quickly. But I do get it. It's a 3-hour movie already. They had to like skip past some stuff, but I don't know. Amazing movie though. I loved it. And yeah, the final fight scene, it is kind of like a big cameo fest, but I love it because it feels like it's deserved. Like we are seeing all of the characters that we've been following along throughout this entire cinematic universe fighting the final fight of humanity against Thanos and Thanos' army. It was just like such a big epic like scene. I loved it. Okay. I feel like I'm saying okay after like everyone, but yep. Spider-Man Far From Home. Hot take. That one is actually better than Homecoming. I know. Hot take. There are some things that you could say about the movie. How like the first half of it is very comedy focused, very light, but I love how this movie has so many things. You got Spider Man being out of New York on vacation, new scenery, all that stuff. That's very cool. Taking him out of New York. I love how this is Peter Parker being so drained and tired of being Spider Man after everything that happened, after losing his mental, after literally dying for 5 years. He wants to take a break from Spider Man. Um, Far From Home is much better than No Way Home. I go back and forth, honestly. Sometimes I would say I agree with that. Sometimes I don't know. But yeah, I love this movie. I love how this movie introduces us to Mysterio, who, if you already know who Mysterio is, if you've already seen other Spider-Man stuff, you know he's probably going to be the villain. But being how this is the MCU, the same universe that had the Mandarin plot twist, so he was just an actor on TV, and that actually the Mandarin, and those multiple, like, different takes on what is from the comics. This could have been, for all we know, going into this movie. It wouldn't be that surprising if the MCU did turn Mysterio into this like superhero from a different dimension. So it does work as a plot twist, and yeah, it might be a little goofy how he has a scene halfway through the movie where he's just like naming all of the guys who like helped him. You got the guy from Iron Man 1, all the guys on his evil team, but I don't know. I think it's I give it a pass. And I love how this movie, like, builds Mysterio up as, like, this guy that you see why Peter Parker, yeah, you see why Peter Parker starts trusting him and seeing him as, like, this figure that could be, like, the next Tony Stark, the next Iron Man. He kind of has, like, a bit of a mental type relationship with Peter. He tells Peter Parker some good advice. He wants to get the girl. He wants to ask his, crush out, and he sticks up for Peter when Nick Fury, quote unquote Nick Fury, who's really a Skrull, but Nick Fury is like being kind of howled on Peter Parker. He sticks up for him and all that stuff. You get to like Clinton Beck, Mysterio, and you see why Peter Parker does give him the Edith glasses. And then you see just how much of a mistake that was. And I love him then realizing that. I love all the illusion scenes. That one scene where Mysterio tricks him into saying, like, who he told about Mysterio being a fraud. And then because of that, him thinking he's telling Nick Fury who he told, but it's actually him telling Mysterio. Now Mysterio knows that he told Ned and MJ, and now they are gonna die if he doesn't stop Mysterio. And then how near the end of this movie, this is when Peter Parker really grows up, I think, and he really learns that he cannot trust everybody. He can really trust nobody. Like when Happy shows up in the plane, I love that scene where Happy shows up and Peter Parker was like, wait, stop. Say something only Happy would know. Say something only you would know. That's an amazing scene. And yeah, I love this movie. I think it's very, honestly, underrated. It was a massive success, but people hate on it. I think it's amazing. And also, you got the plot twist at the end of the movie where you got J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson. He delivers the big blow of like as like the one final kind of like attack against Spider-Man. Mysterio recorded a video saying that Spider-Man killed him and saying that Peter Parker was Spider-Man and whatnot. And then now his secret is out there. Craziness. Oh, also, one more thing I want to talk about in this movie. I like the stuff between Peter and MJ. I like how when he goes to tell MJ that he likes her, she calls out how he's Spider Man, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's the only reason why I was interested in you because I thought I knew you were Spider Man." And then there's just like that kind of like just like that conflict where it's like Peter Parker then feels like, oh, she doesn't like him then. She was only interested because, she thought he was Spider Man. But then it turns out that she did actually like him and all that stuff. They end up getting together, all that stuff. It was a good movie. Okay. WandaVision. I love WandaVision. I do. Oof. I would say, I would say A tier. Oof. A tier. Probably not S tier. Mainly because the final episode is very sloppily written, honestly. The message at the end, how, yeah, Wanda does sacrifice her kids, or made up kids. Well, not really made up, I guess. They were made by the Hex, but then they become actual characters later in the MCU, but she gives them up, and she has to flee the town and whatnot. But it was just kind of sloppily how then Monica Rambeau is like, Wanda, don't listen to other people who are hating on you now. They will never know what you did for them when she literally enslaved the entire town. It kind of, the episode turns into like this big stereotypical laser beams in the sky, superhero and supervillain punching each other, all that stuff. But I did also like some stuff in the final episodes, how you got White Vision and Vision talking about, you know, who is the actual Vision and whatnot. And, well, or at least like them fighting each other. And yeah, that was a good scene. Agatha stole the show in the series. The Agatha All Along song, that was very fun. The thing I love the most about this series, was just watching the mystery unravel throughout it. How in the first few episodes of the series, you don't know what the heck is going on, but it's like kind of unsettling. How like it's like the sitcom throughout the entire episode, but then there's like a few scenes and like a few small moments, so like everything just like gets very strange, and like the sitcom thing just like completely breaks. And I loved Vision then beginning to be awakened to all the stuff that Wanda is doing and whatnot. Wanda Vision has no rewatch factor. I can rewatch She-Hulk over and over. Honestly, I disagree about WandaVision not having a rewatch factor because I actually ended up liking it more after the rewatch. Um, like for instance, originally I was kind of disappointed by the final episode of WandaVision. How much of it is just kind of like mindless, like action and whatnot. But I did on rewatch. I liked a bit more the scene where Wanda says goodbye to her family for the final time. She tucks her kids into bed, and she like has one last look at them before they fade away. Wanda was a villain, but Monica Rambeau was supposed. So yeah, it was very sloppily written. That whole scene. Yeah, the final episode was very sloppily written, but overall, it was a fun series, and I still like it quite a bit. Okay, um, I will say B tier actually. Yeah, I do really like WandaVision. I just think the final episode should have been written a lot better. They needed probably. I think they should have had another draft of the final episodes. Like it kind of feels kind of like a false draft in many ways, but most mystery box movies or TV shows have no rewatch factor. See, I disagree. I always like even after knowing how the story ends, I love watching mysteries and story arcs unravel and whatnot. and then like going back after knowing what happens, just like having even more knowledge of like what's happening. So like you get to look at the stuff and see the stuff that is happening throughout the series, and you're like, oh, so that's what this meant in the moment. Oh, I see how this started to unravel and lead to what happened at the end. But WandaVision needed Mephisto. Yeah, I remember the Mephisto stuff, man. Oh, those were good days when each episode was coming out and people were like speculating, like, oh, Mephisto is gonna be the next episode. Yeah, also, yeah, the whole thing with Wanda being the one that was behind it all along, like it made sense. I liked it, but it would have been cool if like there was like this big entity like Mephisto or something like that, like making Wanda do everything and whatnot, as opposed to just like it all being Wanda, and then Agatha shows up because of what Wanda is doing. Maybe if they had Agatha be even more hands on in all of the madness, I don't know. I still liked it, but it was very messy. Speaking of very messy, Captain America, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. See, I like a lot of this series. I would say probably also in B though. I I love how this series. Oh, oof. Not. Oh, okay. I'm not trying to do that. Well, okay. Me trying to scroll and whatnot. Okay. What I like about the series, well, Zemo is obviously a blast in the show. You got the Zemo dancing scene, uh, Zemo saying something about like a film or something, um, and then Sam is like, he's out of pocket, he's out of line, but he's correct. That was pretty funny. Um, what I loved most though is how this show does really give you reasons why it can be pretty nice to have these Marvel shows that are like 6 hour long movies, kind of, as opposed to just the actual 2 hour long movies. Because you get to see even more of the characters than you would in just like a movie. They really explore Bucky trying to make up for like his past bad decisions as the Winter Soldier. How he has to finally woke up enough courage to tell that old man that he killed his son. That was a great scene and a great character arc throughout the series. Him putting the Winter Soldier behind him. And then I loved the stuff with Sam Wilson, how it's very poetic throughout the series. He has to grapple with the fact that like every day, no matter what he does, he's gonna have to deal with the fact that a lot of people will hate him for putting on the Captain America costume for or suit for like holding the shields, and like every day people are gonna hate him for it. But what he can do, even if he is not everyone's ideal Captain America, what his job is to be the best Captain America he can be. And I liked that quite a lot. It was the best scenes of Sam, but it did have pretty cool fighting scenes. See, I love what they did with Sam and Bucky in the series. I just think the villain was very sloppily written, like the Flag Smashers. I don't know, like they're terrorists, but you got the whole they're not terrorist thing. And I mean, there's nuance to it. I do agree with what the series was trying to get to, how like there's nuance behind them being villains. They're villains, but they're villains fighting for a cause they believe in. But I think they could have handled that a lot better. And also the scene of like you know, the scene of Sam Wilson telling the senator, "You gotta do better," instead of like laying out ways in which he can do better and whatnot. I think it's a very good show in many ways. I just think that, like WandaVision, I think it could have needed like a additional draft in the writing stage, but it was pretty good. Just kind of messy with how they handled the villain. But overall, I liked it quite a lot. And Sam Wilson sold me as him being the next Captain America in the series. Decent? Yeah, I would say decent. Marvel DC Talks says hi. Hello. Welcome to the stream. Loki. I I liked Loki a lot. I would say A. The stuff with Loki and Sylvia is a little odd. The self-cessed thing, how Loki basically falls in love with himself. But I love how this show takes Loki from Avengers, like the first Avengers movie, takes him out of that timeline and shows him how continuing to go down the path that he's had been going down as this villain is going to lead to nothing remarkable whatsoever. He wants to be the, you know, uh, what are they? The god of mischief. That's what they call him. He wants to be like this god of mischief, but as Mobius tells him, he's basically just the god of not doing anything, of just constantly failing. And then he ends up, uh, joining this fight against basically this like establishment that like is very controlling over the multiverse. And I love when he tells Mobius that like they are our variants and whatnot. Jonathan Majors is a great actor. Yes, he is. And he's amazing. He steals the show too. I love the introduction of King in this series. Um Loki is overrated but decent. I think season one is kind of overrated a tiny bit, but season two is amazing. But actually, I think that might be the main sentiment. But King is misunderstood in the MCU. And what do you mean by that? Because he's definitely a villain. But if by misunderstood you mean like the character himself, I wish that they kept with King instead of going to Doctor Doom. I wish that they kept with the whole King Dynasty thing as the next Avengers movie, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, but yeah, I think season one of Loki was very, very good. Black Widow. This movie is honestly okay. I would say, huh. Honestly, uh, I don't know if I like. I don't like Black Panther being in the same tier as like these other stuff that I do love, just not as much as like S and A tier stuff. When the first half of Black Panther was just like very slow for me. Okay, so wait, okay. Anyways, back in task. Black Widow was trash. It sucked. Yeah. Actually, what's funny about Black Widow? This was the very first movie that the first time I watched it, I like fell asleep halfway through. It was the first Marvel movie, and actually the only Marvel movie that put me to sleep. It literally made me fall asleep. So if that goes to show you how great of a movie it is, I did like some stuff about it. I liked Yelena. Yelena was a good, likable character that was introduced. Wonder Woman 1984. Actually, I haven't seen that, but um, I liked a lot of the action. I liked the spy stuff. Some of the Dalco vibes of certain scenes in the movie, but I would say D. Very close to being F, honestly. But it was kind of a cool movie. Rewatching it didn't put me to sleep. Only watching it the first time put me to sleep, which is a very amazing thing to be able to say about a movie. But still, it could have been worse, but it could have been way better. Very unfortunate because I think Black Widow is a very great character in the MCU. But yeah. Okay, what if? I would say C. Because there are a few very good episodes in What If Season 1. Because that's what this is. This is Season 1. I love the Marvel Zombies episodes. I thought that was a really cool episode. I loved the Doctor Strange episode, how like he tries to break out of the rules to somehow be able to create a reality where he gets to be with Christine, the love of his life, but no matter what, he can never be happy. He can never have Christine. And then he becomes like this dark version of himself, this villainous, evil Doctor Strange. That episode was so tragic, and I loved how tragic it was. And you got the epic Ultron or whatever, the big powerful Ultron who becomes the main threat of season one. It was pretty cool. What if sucked? Yeah, some episodes were good of season one. Those are like the three episodes that were kind of good. Four episodes possibly, but oh man, a lot of the writing in this season, animation has no budget constraints, so they should be great. Yeah, the animation, a lot of the animation in this series is just, you know what it kind of gives off? It kind of gives off like low quality, early Xbox 360 video game cutscenes. Like, not even like mid era Xbox 360. Like, I'm not even talking after the Xbox 360 has been around for a while, but like right when the Xbox 360 is brand new, and a lot of the graphics are still kind of PS2 ish, or like Xbox, original Xbox kind of. I don't know. It didn't look amazing. But what drives me the craziest about this series in general, the writing is so amateur and bad throughout so many episodes. Like, there's literally a scene where Thor is dead, and then you got Agent Coulson smelling his dead body and being like, wow, even dead, this guy smells so beautiful. That made me cringe watching. This scene, this series has such cringe writing, and like the most cringe writing in entire MCU, in my opinion. It's so bad in many episodes, many ways. And a lot of the episodes, it feels like they just like have no ideas. Like the Thor episode. What if Thor was just like a man child who just like only partied nonstop? He didn't become a superhero, he just constantly drank and was an idiot. Okay, that's not much of a story. I don't know. What if what if T'Challa became Star-Lord instead of Peter Quill? What if it was Captain Caudo instead of Captain America? It's just this series just it could have been great, but in many ways it was just so bad. There were only a few good episodes. Live action movies remove bits that would be great to save money, but animation has no real big cost, so you can write what you want. That is very true. Though it is very expensive to make animation, but I wouldn't say that it costs less. Well, maybe it does cost less in the grand scheme of things. It's just it's easier, I think, to do big things with animation, big action scenes and whatnot, as opposed to well, if it's like CGI, you have to do like either stunts and like all that stuff. You gotta get the special effects and all. It's just a huge thing. Animation is honestly a very good medium for superhero action stuff. But what if? The majority of the writing in What If is so bad and cringeworthy, and um, it's only in C and not in F or D because it does have a few episodes that are genuinely great. Only like 3 episodes. Everything else horrible, in my opinion. Same thing, and that's season one. I didn't see much of season. I'm just gonna skip ahead to seasons 2 and 3 of What If, because I'm already talking about What If. Oof. I have not seen anything of seasons 2 or 3 of What If that I liked, so those are going in F. The What If comics are great. That is what I hear. I hear that the comics are great. I don't know what the series' excuse was, but okay. Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi, that was a great movie, I thought. I would say maybe not S, but A tier. The second half, yes, a little bit. Like, it's very CGI heavy and a little bit, it's a little bit too much, you know, I don't know. But it's a very great movie, I think. I was trying to think of the correct thing to say, but I couldn't really think of the thing that I wanted to say. Um, I guess benefit of the doubt or whatever. I don't know. But no, it's a very great movie. So much great action and everything. I loved Shang-Chi a lot. They had like an actual Mandarin too, by the way, in this movie. So if you hated the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, I don't think he's fully comic accurate. I don't think from what I've seen of the comic version of the Mandarin, but he was very cool in the movie. And yeah, it's just very great action. And oh, also they brought back Trevor Slattery in this movie, and he was pretty funny. He was a pretty fun presence in the movie. And yeah, Eternals. Okay, this is F, 100% F. This movie, I cannot rant enough about Eternals. This movie gave me physical pain watching it, I swear. Like, this movie is only like, what, 2 hours long or 2.5 hours or whatever. Watching it felt like watching a 6 hour long movie. It literally drained my soul. Like, I also like okay, too many characters, very boring writing, very like bad acting directing, and it's just the story is very boring, and the movie drags on. Every single scene I wish was cut. Honestly, there's that one scene in the movie that I didn't think was just like so painfully boring. It's a boring movie. I would have I would literally rather watch paint dry than watch this movie again. I'm never watching this movie again. I watched it once and it made me feel like I aged 10 years watching it. Like, I feel 10 years older now that I've seen this movie. It's so bad. I would not recommend. Eternal should have been a TV show. Maybe if it was a TV show, they could have actually fleshed out the characters, the like 10 characters that they had as the main characters, as opposed to having just like a few characters that they can actually develop into characters that have good defining character traits and you can actually remember their names, as opposed to just throwing a bunch of characters and a bunch of stuff at the wall in this one badly written movie. It could have been a good TV show, possibly, but as a movie, it's the worst thing. Honestly, I think it's the worst thing the MCU has ever made. But Hawkeye, I would say, ah, I would say probably B. It's a fun movie. I thought it was cool when they brought Kingpin back and introduced him officially into the MCU, but they didn't do much with him. He was kind of underwhelming. He had a cool presence in the movie, but it was kind of underwhelming. I liked the dynamic between Hawkeye sucked. I don't agree with that. The thing is about Hawkeye, it's not amazing. It's fun, but it's not amazing. I liked the dynamic between Kate Bishop and Clint. I liked how Kate kind of inspired him and encouraged him to embrace the superhero thing. And Kelly Stanfield is a great actress. She is. And did you know she also plays Spider-Gwen in Into the Spider-Verse? Yeah, that's also her. She's a very, very good, very great actress. Um, it's a very fun series. I also liked how the series does kind of add some stuff to Clint as a character who I feel like is the weakest Avenger in the MCU. But I like how him being like deaf or whatever, or like, at least like half deaf, out of healing. Maybe not deaf, like it doesn't have good healing and needs hearing aids. That kind of adds a bit of an extra struggle to him as a character. Um, I liked how throughout the entire series he's trying to get home to his family in time for Christmas. That was kind of nice. But overall, it's just a fun series, but not amazing. Yep, she is 30 years old in the Young Avengers, lol. Well, she doesn't look like she's 30 in my opinion, but you know. Oh, what am I doing with this? Not trying to move that up. Oh man. Okay. Was that an FP foe? It was. Okay. All right. Spider-Man No Way Home. The thing is about Spider-Man No Way Home, I think it's a great movie. It's kind of my least favorite, not least favorite. I don't know. Maybe it is my least favorite of the. I don't know. I said that I liked Far From Home better than Homecoming. Maybe No Way Home is in between Homecoming and Far From Home. Overrated. I kind of agree with that to some extent. But the thing is about No Way Home is that it is very much a pandemic movie. Like the pandemic really affected like the making of it, so it feels kind of like a bit of a Frankenstein of a movie. Like especially in the visual department, like the first half of the movie is paced kind of odd. It feels like two different movies combined. I guess you could say the same thing about Far From Home, how it feels like two different movies combined, but like no, the first half is like setting up like the first half of Far From Home. You feel like it's a very fun like story between Spider-Man and this new hero who turns out to be a villain in the second half. No Way Home, it's got odd pacing, so like the visuals are very not good in certain scenes. Um Due to the pandemic though. But I did love Sergeant Bates cameo fest. See, that's the thing though. I would say that, but I do love how they bring Toby and Andrew back, and they they have like these cameos that could have been cheap and pointless, but I like the stuff that they did with it. I thought all the villains that they brought back, they were amazing as they were before. In fact, actually, Electro was a lot better in this movie than he was in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. They made him actually not like uh, as much of an odd villain as he was. Um, Green Goblin, he was an absolute menace in this movie, and I especially love the scene of he's got the mask off and he's like laughing like a menace, like absolutely maniacally laughing. And I love the scene where Tom's Peter Parker is about to kill the Green Goblin, but then Toby steps in the way. He's like just like the way that he looks at Tom, you can tell he's like you don't want to go down this path. Trust me, you don't want to do this. And I loved the scene where Andrew's Spider Man saves MJ and he asks her if she's okay, and she's like, yeah, and then she sees how he's getting all emotional because he saved this other Spider-Man's MJ. He couldn't save his own MJ, being Gwen Stacy, but he saved this Spider-Man's MJ. And you see how emotional that makes him. It's like he finally got the payoff to the very heartbreaking story of like not being able to save his MJ. I loved a lot of the stuff that they did in this movie. It's just kind of a bit of a sloppy movie a little bit in many ways, but it's a very good movie too, I think. In many ways, it's like the movie where Peter Parker in the MCU suffers the most. Like he loses all his friends. Like they all forget him in the end. His girlfriend forgets him. His best friend forgets him. Aunt May dies. Um, Happy forgets him. Honestly, okay, you know what? I know the guy in the. I know you in the chat. You're saying that this movie is not as good as Far From Home. Honestly, the second half though, the second half kind of makes it super good. I don't know. Maybe it's tied. Maybe it's not better than Far From Home, but it's like tied. I would say. I love the scene in the cemetery where he's sitting by Aunt May's gravestone and whatnot, and then Happy shows up. He's like, "How do you know her?" And then he's like, through Spider Man, because Happy doesn't remember him, and but like they both remember Spider Man bringing Aunt May's, bringing Aunt May and them together. Andrew Garfield is great in No Way Home. Tobey Maguire is the best Spider-Man 1 and 2. Yeah, honestly, I really like this movie. I think it's very good. I don't think it's necessarily as good as some people may say it is or make it seem like it is, but it's a very great movie still, I think. So yeah, I would say S tier. Even if the first half of it is kind of sloppy. Alright, Moonlight. I'm gonna have a tiny sip of coffee real quick. What's funny about Moonlight, maybe I just need to watch it again. I remember when I was watching it, I loved it, but now looking back on it, I don't remember a ton of it, a ton of stuff from it. But I do remember loving the action in it. I love the elements where it's like, you know, the main character is this dude who he's mentally ill, he's mentally unwell. He has multiple personalities, and I like how throughout the series, the two personalities are like fighting against each other. And Khonshu, I like how he is not this great guy who's coming to like help and like it's all rainbows and sunshine and whatnot. He's taking advantage of this mentally ill guy, turning him into this vigilante superhero. And I loved that. I loved the episodes that took place in this like mental institution that's like doesn't actually exist or whatever, but is like a mental institution in like his head. And yeah, I liked it a lot. It was a very good show in my opinion. Another mystery box TV show. Yeah, Moonlight was good, then meh. I think it was very good. I feel like I need to watch it again. Because I kind of forgot some of the stuff in it. But I did really like it. I did really like it when I was watching it. I loved it. Oscar Isaacs ruins everything. Oh, I like Oscar Isaac as a character. Um, Honestly, I hope that they bring Moonlight back. I don't know if they will. It doesn't seem like they're going to. They probably will eventually, but it doesn't seem like they will. But um, he ruined X-Men Apocalypse. I did see that movie years ago. I don't remember much about it though, honestly. I was never a huge X-Men person, honestly. I was always more of like just a strictly MCU and Spider-Man guy. I don't know. I like the X-Men. I just never got crazy into them. But yeah, I liked Moonlight a lot, especially when I was watching it. But I feel like I need to watch it again because some of it I'm kind of forgetting a little bit. But I would say A. Mm, I like that. Yeah, it's better than like the stuff at B. Come on. Okay, yeah. I'll say A too. Let's see. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. This movie is very controversial. I would say, honestly, oof. I didn't mean to put that there. It's not very easy to do like a tier list on mobile, which is why I keep accidentally putting stuff in the wrong spot. Where did I put the original Doctor Strange? Did I put it in A? Okay. I feel like it's not S tier, but I would say it's also A tier. Maybe slightly better, honestly, than the original, which is a very hot take. But I love the action. I think Doctor Strange 2 sucks. I know a lot of people think that. I don't think it sucks. That was me reading the message in the chat. Mom sucked. Oof. Yeah, I know, right? Mom sucked. No, I like Multiverse of Madness. It's kind of a messy movie in some ways when it comes to the pacing. Like there's a scene that is kind of a cameo fest, so it ruins WandaVision. I mean, she was kind of a questionable character in WandaVision, and the thing is, she isn't like fully super evil for no reason in Doctor Strange 2. I think that's something that gets overlooked by a lot of people who hate the movie is that like she's being like influenced by this book, this like evil dark magic book that's like influencing her in some ways at least. She really became something that she isn't, but at the end of the movie she does go back to being a hero, and she like does last minute sacrifice herself and whatnot. Doctor Strange 2 ruined Mr. Fantastic. Ruined. I like Doctor Strange 2. I love the directing of it. I think bringing Sam Raimi in to do a Doctor Strange movie with Wanda as the villain, like Wanda has such a threatening presence in the movie. There's you can definitely tell there's a lot of a horror movie type of influence on the movie and the action in it. It's very gruesome, one of the most like gruesome action movies in the MCU. Very, very good in that front. The thing I like most about it is the theme. How, like, at the end of the movie, Doctor Strange asks Wong, "Are you happy? Like, are you actually genuinely happy?" I think that's a pretty cool theme for the movie. A great wish is Hela in Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, she was great in the. But I like Wanda too. Honestly, I'm one of those people that's like, I'm a big fan of Wanda as a character. I want them to bring her back, but I like Wanda as a character. But Hela too, definitely. But yeah, I think this movie is overhated. I think it's actually a very good movie, and I think a lot of people set their expectations up with the title Multiverse of Madness. People are expecting, oh, they're gonna bring Toby back again. They're gonna bring back so and so, but no, it wasn't a cameo fest, and I think because of it not being 100% cameo fest. Also, I actually think it's pretty like gutsy, and ballsy or whatever. How like Sam Raimi, you can probably tell that like you can kind of tell that when these other characters like Mr. Fantastic and Xavier, when they come in, it's kind of like, oh yep, I bet the studio like mandated that they show up in the movie as cameos. But then Sam Raimi has Wanda instantly kill them all in the most gruesome way possible. I'm like, come on, that was actually pretty fire, I think. Um, Elizabeth Olsen sucks as an evil witch, but great as Wanda. I think she's great as both versions of the character, but I do respect your opinion. But yeah, okay. Miss Marvel. I like the show quite a lot. Honestly, I would say A tier. Is it S tier? Not S tier, but A tier. It's a very fun show. Very fun in many ways, kind of like Spider Man. I like a lot of the same stuff about Miss Marvel that I do about Spider Man. How it's a teen superhero, trying to keep the vigilante identity a secret, and also damage control. Their presence, their threatening presence, near the end of the movie. Oh, near the end of the series, and yeah, I liked the scenes of Miss Marvel episode 1 was brilliant. It was, yeah, the whole show was very good, I think it was very good. And, oh, also, Miss Marvel is the first show that they mentioned mutants in. Like, the first MCU thing that officially mentions the word mutants, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I liked Miss Marvel. The, the villain is kind of forgettable. That's my main thing. The villain is kind of forgettable. I'm trying to think of things to say about the villain. I can't really think of things to say about the villain. But it's a very fun, young superhero vigilante show. But yeah, it was kind of fun. Last episode was good too. Is one too funny? Alright. But yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder. Okay, I actually have a bit of a unpopular opinion about Thor: Love and Thunder. Is it a perfect movie? Absolutely not. But I like it almost as much as I like Thor Ragnarok. Honestly. Maybe I would say A tier, not S tier. Not S tier, A tier. S tier would be kind of crazy. Worst MCU movie. See, I feel like this is kind of like Ragnarok, but in many ways, it leans more heavy into the humor. in some scenes, I feel like it could have been. Okay. Question marks. Okay, let me explain why I like this movie. Let me explain. Okay, it's a very funny movie. Ragnarok was brilliant. It was brilliant. Okay, forget what I said about Ragnarok. I only say that because it's a funny throw movie, like Ragnarok. It's funny. In some ways, in some scenes, it's too humorous. Love and Thunder, specifically. Love and Thunder is too humorous in some scenes, which is why it's not S2. But I like how it deconstructs the idea and image of gods. I like how, yeah, even though the comedy can be a bit much in Love and Thunder, yeah, Zeus. Like, they have Zeus. He's a complete joke in the movie, and that's the point. How, like, these gods that you think would be handled in a very serious way in this movie, they're jokes. They're turned into jokes to deconstruct what like this idea and image that we have of gods. And I think that's also very relevant given how the villain is is the God Butcher. And I liked how he's out for vengeance, but then in the end of the movie, when he sees how much Thor and Jane love each other, he chooses love over vengeance, love over hate. And he, instead of trying to kill all of the gods that took his daughter away from him, he chooses to bring his daughter back. And I thought that was pretty cool, pretty awesome. I that just kind of stuck with me. That scene. Christian Bale, best actor in history, sucked. He was great as the character. I think I do wish he had more screen time. Um, but no, I liked. I did like what they did with his character. I do wish he had more screen time, but I liked what they did with the character, and also even though the movie is very joke heavy in some instances, too joke heavy, it did have a lot of like emotional weight to it too. Like Jane has cancer. That's like a very realistic type of emotional like hardship that a lot of people can relate to. Like a lot of people have known someone close to them that had cancer and ended up dying, not because they were killed by a villain or anything like that, because they just had cancer. It's very sad. And the scene where Thor realizes, wait, Jane, you said you have cancer? And like he does show that he's like genuinely concerned for Jane. It could have been handled better. The movie could have been handled a lot better, but there were a lot of things I liked about the movie. Well, this MCU movie, I can see why people don't like it, but I like it. But I do respect your opinion. Um. Oh, also, one of the funniest moments in the movie, in my opinion, where there's a bunch of Asgardian kids that want Thor to save them, and then he says, "Look, the good news is, if you guys do die, you're Asgardians. So if you die, you're gonna go to Valhalla." And then the kid says to Thor, "Oh my god, just go away." That was kind of funny. I think that was pretty funny. Um. Anyway, so yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop talking about this movie. I know why a bunch of people hate it. I can see and I understand why people hate it, but I like it. But it's not as good as Ragnarok. It's not as good as Ragnarok. But okay, She-Hulk. Honestly, She-Hulk I don't love. But I also don't hate. See, the thing is about She-Hulk, the writing isn't the strongest in my opinion. It's not the best written show. Also, the CGI is very not good in many ways. Like in many ways, it's very uncanny and She-Hulk underrated. So what I'm saying is I don't love She-Hulk because I think a lot of the writing is kind of like eh. But I think the negative qualities of She-Hulk were greatly exaggerated by people who had financial incentive to make constant videos about how She-Hulk is the death of the MCU. She-Hulk is terrible, woke trash, all that stuff. It's not my favorite MCU thing, but I do like how it is a pretty fun loyal show that happens to take place in the MCU. It's not a standard superhero show, but it's a fun, different type of show for the MCU. It's like a fun, lighthearted comedy that follows. It's kind of cool actually how it's a show about a character with superpowers that doesn't want to be a superhero, just wants to be a loyal. That's pretty cool. And a lot of people didn't like the ending, how she breaks the fourth wall and all that stuff. It's just like, instead of having the standard MCU uh, finale or whatever, let's just like throw all of this away and all that stuff. A lot of people didn't like that. They thought it was like a cop out. But I kind of liked that. I kind of liked the ending. That's honestly one of the things I like most about the show because it is a very different ending that no other MCU project has. Where like the character just like completely breaks the fourth wall and throws out of it to the side. It's a very Deadpool type thing, kind of honestly. I don't love the show, but the ending was them trying to do something different, and I respect it for how much of a chance it took on doing something very different. It's not my favorite show, not my favorite thing that the MCU did, but I think it's decent for what it set out to do. I would say, oh, come on. I would say probably, I'll say B. I don't think it's F like a lot of people would say. It's not my favorite thing. I want to put in S either, but it's a decent show. Some of the writing is kind of weak. A lot of the CGI is kind of bad, but I thought it was kind of interesting, some of the stuff that they did with it. Ally McBeal, very rewatchable. I was actually surprised by like I was expecting it to not be as bad as people said it was, but to still find it to be a bad show. And I didn't think it was an amazing show, but I thought it was a decent show, and that surprised me in and of itself. Um, She-Hulk above Black Panther was a crime. I'm sorry. I love the second half of Black Panther. It's just like the first half of it is a little bit too slow for me. I don't know. But I know that okay, I know that it was a great moment in cinema, faux cinema, in superhero movies. It's just not really my cup of tea, honestly, as a movie. But yeah. Okay. Werewolf by Night. This was a very neat special, in my opinion, special presentation that the MCU did. It's different. I liked how it was basically just a story about this dude that we at first kind of think is like this monster hunter. He's really just this dude who broke into this big monster hunting thing to set his friends free. His friend who happens to be a monster. He goes to set him free, and no one has watched it. Oh, some people watched it, and I liked it. Was it amazing? Honestly, it was a pretty cool presentation. I would probably put it in A tier. Different for the MCU, and I liked it. It was pretty cool. Okay, so let me add a separate category. How do I do that? Let's see. Didn't. There are only like two things I didn't watch. Let's see. Ads low above. Okay. I think that worked. Okay. Wait, what? No, what? That's not what I meant. Well, what? That's not what I meant to do. No, okay. This is supposed to be. Okay. What just happens? Okay, so it was C, D, F. So this was D. This is. Didn't watch. Oof. Didn't watch. Swamp Thing 2019 was great by DC. I actually watched a few episodes of that. I really liked it. It's a shame that it didn't last very long. I did really like it, actually. What am I accidentally doing? Okay. There were only like two things I didn't watch in my binge. Oh, like three things I didn't watch when binging the MCU. I didn't watch Wakanda Forever. I wanted to. After watching Iron House, I wanted to watch it because I know that this movie introduces the character, and I liked Iron House, which I'm going to talk about later. So what I did is I seeked out a positive video about Wakanda Forever to try to get myself motivated to watch the movie. It was a positive video, but in the video, the dude making the video said, Wakanda Forever is like a very good movie, but I do have complaints about it. Being how, in my opinion, the second act of the movie does drag on a bit, pacing wise, and also the movie is 3 hours long. And I was like, what? It's a 3 hour long movie? I thought the first Black Panther movie kind of dragged on a tiny bit in certain moments. It was overall a great movie, but I thought the first half of that movie was kind of slow. And that movie was only like 2 hours long. This one is 3 hours long. That scared me away from watching this movie, to be honest. Yeah. And that was a positive video about the movie, too. But yeah, it scared me away, honestly. But, okay. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Quantumania. A lot of people clowned on this movie. The visuals are kind of not the best. I said this, okay, I said something kind of funny to someone that I know about this movie after I watched it. I feel like this movie would be best experienced if it was like an audiobook. It would make a very good audiobook. Because like the visuals, they're giving kind of like what's that, lava boy or whatever. Like this, the green screen is very not good. A lot of the CGI feels unfinished, but like it's like just they try creating an entire world out of CGI. It's kind of like the Minecraft movie problem. How like you kind of it's like these live action characters inside a world that is like not at all filmed on any set whatsoever. It it looks kind of bad, but with that said, it was okay. King is not Thanos. What I will say is this movie made me wish that they kept King as the next Thanos. Because honestly, I think King was. I thought King, like, was a scene stealer in this movie. King was such a threatening presence. Yeah, King was too easily defeated. I mean, yeah, this King was beaten by Ant-Man, but still, it wasn't easy for Ant-Man to beat him, and I mean, I think Jonathan Majors, obviously, I get why they got rid of him, and I don't think that they should bring him back given all the stuff, but I wish that they kept the character, because, I don't know, I thought he stole the scene, stole the show in the movie, as the villain. I thought he was such a menacing presence and threat. I really liked, him as the villain, honestly. I feel like if you rewatch the movie, you might think he was a better villain, honestly. But maybe not. And if not, I respect your opinion. But I thought he was an awesome villain in the movie, honestly. He was like the highlight of the movie. But also, this movie had MODOK, which I know he was very ugly in the movie, and a lot of people clowned on MODOK, but I kind of loved how much of a ugly, like, abomination, giant floating heads ugly thing MODOK was in the movie. It was like absolute camp and like just like a abomination, but I kind of loved it for that, honestly. And I mean, I don't know how you could make a live action MODOK not look like just like a abomination, but I kind of loved it. It was very fun, and I had, as someone who's not a comic book reader, I had known about MODOK through like Marvel animated shows, and I've been waiting for them to bring him to the MCU for years and years and years, ever since I was a kid. And to have him finally be in a movie, and he's just like this floating head, like I always wanted him to be. It looks so coast, but I loved it at the same time. Also, I loved the scene that made me laugh when Cassie tells MODOK that it's not too late to like turn his life around, and then he was like, "Yeah, I am. I'm such a dick." Look at me. And then she was like, it's never too late to stop being a dick. I was like, yes, put that on a t-shirt. That was funny. Humpty Dumpty from Shrek. But no, I mean, I liked the movie quite a bit. I would say, hmm, I would say probably maybe B. I would say B. I would say B, not A. I would say it's a B movie, B tier movie. I loved King as the villain. I thought Modoc was fun, but yeah, a lot of the visuals kind of held back the movie, in my opinion. But okay, Guardians Holiday Special. I loved this special a lot. Oof. I loved how the other Guardians, they try to save Christmas and make it a good thing for Peter by literally kidnapping this celebrity that they thought he looked up to as a kid, or that he kind of did look up to as a kid. Dumb. I loved the holiday special. I don't know. James Gunn. I like James Gunn. I think he's very good in my opinion, but it was a very fun special, and I, I loved just like it was fun, and yeah, I don't know. I already said what I had to say about it. It was a very fun holiday special. I also it had pretty good music. I think. Okay, this movie also S tier. I would say only like Guardians one in the animated series. You know, I actually when I was a kid, I found the animated series to not be too bad. Um, in some ways, it was kind of like not as good as the movie, in my opinion. Because some of the characters were like very one dimensional, I feel. But I liked some of the episodes of the series. But okay, Guardians 3. I love Guardians. Jeez. I have been talking for too long, possibly. But I love Guardians 3. I It's a very sad movie, very brutal movie. The origin story of Rocket Raccoon, dang. And I loved how at the end he saves all of the animals and the higher overrated I thought higher evolutionarily he was such a soulless like twisted villain, and that was pretty great. Yeah, great villain. Yeah. It's just like a very sad movie, emotional movie. During like most of the movie, Rocket was dying, and the movie was basically about this team of characters that used to hate each other when they first met that has now become a family. They're trying to save one of them from dying. And I also love how Peter Quill, he's an absolute mess throughout the movie after losing the love of his life when Thanos killed her, to then having her come back, but a version of her that has no emotional connection to him and doesn't want to get with him. And he just has to deal with that. How the woman he loved died, but then came back, but doesn't want to be with him. And I loved how the movie ended in a way that wasn't just like sunshine and rainbows. Like the characters all win, save the day, and get to just go back to being a team and whatnot. They all kind of go those separate ways. But the message of the movie is sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's okay for stuff to not last forever. Sometimes it's okay to like drift away from some people that you were close to. It's just like that message. It like when I first saw the movie, man, I love the movie. I love it a lot. Why didn't they kill the villain at the end? I think it was to not stoop to the same level to be better than the villain. that I would have to rewatch that scene. But just like the ending of the movie, yeah, I loved it. Man. But yeah, let's see. Oof, what am I doing? Put that back. Was that there? I think that was there. Okay. Secret Invasion. I would say B show. I think Secret Invasion is overhated. I actually really liked it when I was watching it, but I do have complaints. I mean, for one, it's very disappointing that the Secret Invasion that we had in the MCU was nothing like the Secret Invasion storyline that we had in Avengers Ultimate Heroes, the TV show, the animated TV show. Because, like, it would have been so cool if we had a Avengers movie with the Skrulls, with, like, the Avengers characters, other than just Rhodey and some other characters being Skrulls. Don Cheadle ruined the MCU. Oh, I like Don Cheadle. I think he's a good actor. But, no, I liked him in this movie. I liked him in the movie. I liked him being like this scroll pretending to be Rhodey, and how Nick Fury has to go up against this fake Rhodey, and the the like spy thrill stuff in the movie. The final fight or whatever, or like the fight scene where we think it's following Nick Fury against the villain, but it's actually a scroll pretending to be Nick Fury, and Nick Fury actually had the upper hand. I liked how it was like a very disheveled Nick Fury getting back into the swing of things. Like Nick Fury, he was back. Like he's back now. Yeah, he may be old. He may be an older Nick Fury, but he's still the same Nick Fury as he's always been. And I thought it was very cool. And I do have the complaint though, how it would be a lot cooler if we got a Avengers movie where the Avengers were Skrulls, as opposed to just Rhodey and some other characters. That would have been cool. If we had a Avengers movie, or even a couple of Avengers movies where the Avengers were Skrulls. And also, I don't like the implication that Rhodey has been a Skrull since Civil War, because that kind of cheapens Rhodey being, seeing Tony Stark sacrifice himself and then being at his funeral. His best friend, that was actually just him being a Skrull pretending to be Rhodey, seeing that kind of just like lessens the impact of that. My headcanon is that he wasn't a Skrull since Civil War, but that's kind of what the show is implying, and I kind of don't like that very much. But I thought it was a decent show. Not amazing. I wish we got a Avengers movie instead with the Skrulls. But for what it was, I thought Nick Fury was very awesome as the main character. But yeah, kind of disappointing, but also not as bad as people say. I think pretty good show, pretty decent show. I thought I liked it quite a bit. But with that said, ATO, no, I don't like it more than WandaVision. I don't think. Let me put it down to B. I would say, B. Yeah, I like that. I think that's good. B. It's a BTO show. Okay. The girl from Game of Thrones was only good in Game of Thrones. She ruined her. Wasn't she also in Doctor Who? I think was that the same actress, or was that a different Game of Thrones actress? I didn't like her very much in Doctor Who. If it was so, it might not have been the same actress. There was a actress that was in, I think, Game of Thrones. Then she was showed up in like the Peter Capaldi era of Doctor Who. She became like a main character in his second series as the Doctor, and I think they kind of overused her character just because probably that she was the one playing the character. But I don't know. Loki season 2. I really liked Loki season 2. I liked it better than season 1, honestly. What did I put season 1? I put it in A. I would honestly put it in S. I liked the lengths that Loki had to go to fight against this like puzzle and like system and whatnot that King trapped him in, basically. I liked the part where near the end of the season, he was like having to repeat the same thing over and over and over and over again until he knew it, every step he could possibly take, um, to get it just good enough. And then eventually he had to take King's place, and that was like the solution that he came up with. And I liked the stuff where he was like, I love the episode where he was like gathering up the team again, gathering up Mobius, gathering up the other guy. I'm so bad at remembering names off the spot, but I liked it. It was very good, I thought. Loki is overrated, but good, not great. I thought it was great, but I do respect your opinion. But I liked it quite a lot. One thing though is I kind of wish Sylvia had. Well, I don't know. She had a good presence in the season. I feel like whole character had more of an impact in the first season than the second season, but she was good in the second season too. Um, the Marvels, the Marvels. I had a thought when watching the Marvels. I thought it was a good movie, a good superhero movie. Um, Not anything groundbreaking, but a good superhero movie. Not terrible, not amazing, but pretty good. I liked what they did with the whole thing where like each time the heroes like use their superpowers, they would like change bodies, change places, or whatever. Or not change bodies, but like change where one of them is standing, the other one would then be standing. They would like teleport, change location. That was pretty cool. That was a pretty neat thing that the characters had to walk around, and it was pretty cool. I liked it. I didn't necessarily love the movie, but I liked it quite a bit. It was a fun superhero movie, kind of like Ant-Man. I would say honestly. Um, I would say B. I think it's a B tier movie. Pretty good. Doctor Who actors in Guardians, Women, fun, roller coaster. Yeah, that's exactly what I would say. What I would say. How you said it is exactly what I would say. Fun roller coaster movie, fast paced. Yeah, it doesn't drag. It is a fun roller coaster movie, but it's not amazing. But it's a fun movie. Uh, Echo. This is also one of the things I didn't watch, honestly. Because I liked the Hawkeye movie, but I didn't walk away from Hawkeye feeling like, yeah, she was a decent character in the series, Hawkeye movie, Hawkeye series. She was a decent character in the series, but I didn't walk away from the Hawkeye series thinking, oh yeah, they need to make an Echo show of all the things, of all the characters that they could make like, a show about. I didn't feel any reason to watch Echo. I don't know. Karen Gillian was in Doctor Who. Nebula actress was in Doctor Who. Karen Gillian, yeah, I know she was in. Wait, hold up. The name sounds very familiar. I know she's a Marvel actress. Who did she play in Doctor Who? Let me look it up. Doctor Who. Karen Gillian. Oh, she's the one that played Amy. She played Amy Pond. Oh yeah, she was a great companion, I think. In my opinion, at least. Yeah, she was a great companion. Wait, she's not the one that plays Nebula, is she? Wait, who plays Nebula? If that's the same actress, she has so much range. Nebula actress. No way. No way, that's the same actress? I had no idea. She has so much range. What? Okay, that just blew my mind. The person who plays Nebula is the one that played Amy Pond in Doctor Who. I did not know that. Okay, wow, she's a great actress. She has so much range. Okay. Deadpool, Scottish actress in the New Highlanders. Huh. Deadpool and Wolverine. See, I almost didn't watch this movie because I know that Deadpool is a great character. Very great character. Is a very well loved character. But I didn't really watch either of the first two Deadpool movies. When it came out, I was a kid when it came out, and it was R-rated, so I didn't really watch it. So I didn't already have a pre-established love of Deadpool as the character. But I loved this movie. How it was like the worst version of Wolverine teaming up with this anti-hero who was like a very kind of crappy person. It was very, very violent. But I loved the scene at the end where they finally do team up together. Like they were teaming up throughout the movie, but like, where they team up together. You got Wolverine and Deadpool. They like grab onto each other. It's like this buddy movie of like the two most unlikely buddies, two most unlikely protagonists to save the multiverse, but they somehow do. I loved it, honestly. I loved it a lot. Deadpool 3 is so overrated. I loved it. I can see why a lot of people love it as much as they do, and honestly, I walked away from it loving it as much as everyone else did too. But if you didn't love it as much, that is fine. I loved it though. But it's okay if you didn't love it. I loved it though. Agatha all along. I liked I liked Agatha quite a bit. I I actually loved it. But I didn't like it as much as WandaVision. But I liked it just about as much, honestly. I thought Agatha was very fun show. My only really complaint was that it felt a tiny bit formulaic. Like in certain parts, like halfway through the series, I was kind of thinking, okay, yeah, this series actually could have used maybe one less episode because it's starting to feel a little bit how it's like each episode is kind of like the same formula repeat, like rinse and repeat. Though there is a story that like is being told and gets told more and more throughout it. I thought it was really cool the character that they had bouncing back and forth between like the present, the past, the future. Then like when you put together the things that that character said in those moments, it actually made for a actual coherent sentence. Like how in one episode she says "don't," and in the other episode she says "save Agatha." And then when you put that together, she's saying "don't save Agatha." And Death, the character of Death, was so cool in the series. And Billy, the twist that kind of like how in WandaVision it was Wanda all along, it being Billy all along, that was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, that works kind of good in the series, actually. That worked for the series. And I liked the series quite a bit. I liked it. WandaVision was much better. I liked WandaVision more than Agatha, but I liked it almost as much. I liked it quite a bit. Okay. Captain America Brave New Worlds. I know a lot of people kind of hated on the movie. I liked it. I don't think it was anywhere near as good as the other Captain America movies, but it was a fun Captain America movie. I would say probably I would put it in B. It was a fun movie. Um, you know, Anthony Mackie continues to be amazing as a character. He's a great actor, and Red Hulk. I needed some more Red Hulk. He wasn't Red Hulk for much of the movie, but when he was Red Hulk, it was pretty cool. And it was kind of weird, kind of an odd movie, honestly. Brave New World, it kind of felt like a Hulk 1.5 movie. How you had basically two Hulk villains versus Captain America. Kind of odd, but it was a decent movie though. I liked it. I didn't think it was amazing, but it was fun. It was a fun movie. Daredevil Born Again. I loved this show so much, honestly, that season 2 I watched in like 24 hours because I watched it after all of the episodes that already came out. I watched the entire season of season 2 in like 24 hours, one day. I loved it so much. I loved all the action in it. I loved in season 1 and season 2. I loved how we got to see Matt after having breaking his rule and going too far and then throwing away the you know the mantle of Daredevil, him being forced to go back to being Daredevil. I originally I was so hesitant about like a Daredevil show where they kill off Foggy. Like Foggy was like a very big part of the original Daredevil show. I didn't think that that could work very well. But it being such like a sad dark moment in his chapter and story as a character being a thing that follows Matt Murdock throughout the series and being why he gives up being Daredevil. And then I loved the scene where the Punisher shows up and he's like, say his name, god damn it, say his name, Red. Like telling him, stop running from this loss that you experienced of your best friend. Say his name and like say it. Don't pretend it didn't happen and whatnot. And Kingpin being basically becoming like this massive dictator. That was he was so menacing in this show. Animated Red Hulk was great. Every version. Meh. Daredevil, the Fox version was great, but in the MCU, meh. So okay. Was Daredevil Fox before? No, Daredevil. I don't think it was Fox before. Um, it was on Netflix. It was on Netflix, but it was through Disney MCU or like Disney Marvel, but just on Netflix. But yeah, no, not Fox. But no, I thought the Kingpin becoming this dictator in charge of New York and how he has all this power that he uses the worst ways possible. And also, oh, when Vanessa dies and like she wakes up from like a coma or whatever, and like you think that she's actually okay. You think that she's gonna be okay. She's not dead. It kind of gives Wilson this false sense of relief. Oh, she's okay. She's alive. She's talking now, and then she dies. Which like if she had just died, that would have been sad in and of itself for the character. But the fact that he gets this false sense of like she's back, she is alive, and then nope, actually never mind, she is dead. She's dead. That made that hit even more. I think, and just like how at first it does seem like something I loved about this show is how at first when he becomes in charge of New York, you kind of think, huh, maybe Wilson has kind of changed his ways. Like it seems genuine. He just wants to do what he can to be a good mayor of New York. But then he like as the series goes on, he becomes more and more authoritarian, more and more of a dictator, and he just completely spirals. And he makes an entire city erupt in flames, basically. And then I love the final scene, oh, the final fight scene in the final episodes of Daredevil fighting against Wilson Fisk, and then like they make this like deal that they both like walk away because they both want what's best for New York, so they both walk away or whatever. That was pretty good. I want to watch it again, honestly. But yeah, it was so awesome. I thought it was awesome. I can't wait for season 3. I'm gonna put one of the best things that has come out of MCU Disney Plus, in my opinion. Thunderbolts, aka Black Widow 2, is overrated, but okay, not great, kind of good. I loved Thunderbolts, honestly. I would say S tier. Thunderbolts is honestly, it was one of my favorite MCU movies. I loved how much it focused on mental health and like these characters not being okay, like Bob. So I knew that I was gonna love the movie when Yelena in the beginning of the movie, the first fight scene, she's just like going through the motions of like fighting the bad guys, but just like in the most like just done with it, like attitude possible. But the stuff with Bob and then like the final scene where like all of these characters that are kind of a-holes, kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy. These characters are like a-holes. You got you got like the a-hole Dollar Tree, Dalloso, Captain America, the fake Captain America. You got Bucky, who I think Bucky is a good character. He I do think he redeemed himself, but yeah, he doesn't have a good past, good history. So I guess he's fitting to be in the team. You got Yelena, who also has a bad past, and you got Red Guardian, also has a bad past. Um, they all come together and then you got also Ghost is in the movie. Um and yeah, Bob. I liked how like the solution to the movie was like them all coming together and facing their inner demons, which is the void. The void is like the embodiment, the physical embodiment of their personal demons and the darkness within. And they have to face it head on. And I love the scene and the shot of like them all just like hugging and embracing Bob. I loved it. I loved it a lot. The Marvels face challenges such as the SAG after strike and the lack of self promotion contributing to a slow box office performance. 100%. That is correct. Thunderbolts is the new mutants. I know. I loved the Thunderbolts. I loved it a lot, honestly. But I respect your opinion. From 2020. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That one a lot of people didn't like very much. I own House. This may be controversial. I don't know. I think a lot of people liked that though. Actually, when it came out, I saw a lot of good things being said about it. I thought this was like one of the best shows the MCU put out. I would say S tier, honestly. Ironheart is a very good show. I like how she is a very morally questionable character throughout a lot of it. She's kind of like an anti-hero in this show because like she wants to create technology that she can use to do genuine goods in the world and make a positive difference. But to do that, to fund the creation of that technology, she has to work with this like team of criminals and become a criminal herself, which isn't very good. And then what makes it even worse is that the criminal, like the team of criminals that she becomes part of, is literally working with the denom. Why can I not talk right now? The demonic entity, um, Mephisto. Yeah, Mephisto. And yeah, Mephisto was amazing in the movie. I love in the movie. Why do I keep saying movie in the series? Mephisto and Palco. He was such a menacing villain. He was great. In the series, I liked how he became less and less human-like, and I love the scenes of Mephisto acting like what people say the devil is like. How like you got the Mephisto controlling the characters and manipulating them into selling their soul to him. And I like the ending of the movie. How like Ironheart, who we see misses her best friend or whatever. Yeah. Not sister, best friend. Misses her best friend, who she lost. Wait, best friend or sister? Either best friend or sister. I don't know why I'm getting the specific details mixed up. Either best friend or sister. But how like she lost her as a kid and she misses her. And then at the end of the series, it seems like she did so her soul to get her friend back, her best friend back. Um, but it's kind of like it goes back and forth between like the scene of her coming um back to back to life and them bumping into each other again and whatnot. And then the scene keeps going back and forth between that and then Riri Williams talking to Mephisto and like the deal being in progress. So like it's kind of open ended, like if she actually accepted the deal or if that was just like a vision that Mephisto was putting into Riri's head. That like if you accept me, if you sell your soul to me, this is what you'll get. Um, I hope she didn't accept the deal, but yeah, that could definitely lead to some interesting stories in the future. Um, yeah, great acting. Oh, I love how this show. One of the things I love most about it, this show knows how to build tension in scenes, and the action in it and everything. Amazing, in my opinion. Fantastic Foe. I loved Fantastic Foe. I loved how it was like a movie, not in the same way that Guardians of the Galaxy is about family, but it is also a movie about family, but how like whereas Guardians is a movie about a bunch of characters who are broken coming together to become a family, this movie is about how oftentimes in like very scary, like world threatening situations and scenarios and whatnot, people become kind of give into like tribalist tendencies and are quick to say is the best. It's so. Oh wait. Oh, so Sofo. I thought you were saying this movie. Um, um, I thought it was brilliant how this movie introduced the idea that they could give away their new child to Galactus to save the planet. And then, like, when they tell that publicly, when people find out, they're like, so what you're saying is we could sacrifice one of you for all of us. And it's like, the point of the movie is that, like, a family sticks together and doesn't sacrifice one of them for the well-being of the rest of them. They stick together. And I liked how Johnny Storm, he tries to sacrifice himself. Because he can make the decision. He doesn't want to make the decision for a child that isn't even present, that doesn't even know what's going on. He doesn't want to make the decision to sacrifice a child. But being an adult who can make his own decisions, he can sacrifice himself. And he tries to do that. I loved that. I loved what Reed Richards says, how wait, was it Reed Richards? It was one of them. How they say during the press conference that they will not sacrifice their child for the planet, but they will also not sacrifice the planet for the child. And so they will find a way to save the planet while not giving their child to Galactus. And Galactus, by the way, was amazing in the movie. They didn't just make him a big cloud. They made him this like big giant like he actually is supposed to be. And like he's like walking through New York. He's like rampaging, this rampaging giant, like massing giants. I thought the fight against him was pretty dang cool and awesome. Lived up to the expectations. And yeah, I loved this movie a lot. Galactus was meh. I loved Galactus in the movie. But like, Eyes of Wakanda, this is the final thing that I didn't watch. But yeah. Marvel Zombies. Okay. Basically the same animation style as Marvel's What If, but I feel like this series actually perfected it. Like in some ways, in some scenes, it also still looks kind of bad. But also in many ways, the action, the goiness is very good looking. in the final episode, the final action scene with like the Infinity Hulk or whatever, and like all the bright colors in the backgrounds, and like it kind of gives off like this anime Super Saiyan like action scene, and where like all the characters are like fighting against the zombies. I thought that show, if like the entirety of What If looks like that, I would then be like, yeah, I get it. I get why it looks like that. It looks good. What If didn't look like that? But this show perfected the visuals, the blend of 2D and 3D. That, yes, Spider-Verse does way better, but it's pretty good looking in the show. And everyone loves zombies. It was okay. See, I feel like zombies is actually underrated. Um, I feel like what I will say about the show, episode 1 of the show has some dialogue that is kind of clunky in my opinion. Some of the dialogue is kind of meh in the first episode, but once you get past the first episodes, I think it's like nonstop. Like I was at the edge of my seat watching the entirety of the show after episode 1, and I loved all of the constant tension and the skills while watching it, and um all of the action, and of course you got Spider-Man, you got Miss Marvel as the main character. She was actually a very good main character for the series, I think. And I liked how throughout the series, like, and like near the end of it, it seems almost like Wanda might actually want to help. And then when she does get the gauntlet and whatnot, and she goes to like reset everything, you think, wait a minute, maybe she is actually gonna fix everything. Maybe this is the solution. Like Miss Marvel, you do start to think maybe Wanda is actually gonna make everything better. She says, and so the Earth begins again. And so this universe begins again. Like she's actually gonna reset everything. But then you see at the end, when reality starts glitching, this new reality where everything is not zombified anymore and everything goes back to being how it is, this is a fake reality, which kind of builds off of what's set up by WandaVision, how that was all fake, the sitcom show and everything, that setting, that was all fake and a illusion being projected by Wanda. Wanda's solution to the zombie thing wasn't get rid of the zombies, but was to mask it over by a fake illusion reality. I thought that was a brilliant way to end the series. I hope we get a season 2. I don't know if we will, but I hope we do. But if we don't, that was brilliant, in my opinion. How was Icarus able to fight Captain Marvel? Icarus dies in the sun. Captain Marvel fixes suns in the Marvels. Yeah, there were some things in the show that could have been a bit better, but overall, I thought it was a brilliant show, and I loved it a lot, honestly. I would say, honestly, I would say S tier. I loved it. And Daredevil Born Again Season 2, I already talked about. I would say S tier. I already said why I love it. Then Wonder Man. I'm gonna talk about that last because that's what I watched last. The Punisher. One Last Kill. That was pretty good. I would say A. Oop. It was a good special. It felt like a mini movie, kind of like half of a Punisher movie. In a good way though, like if we had a very good Punisher movie in the MCU, I feel like this is what like half of it would be like. And it had a lot of great action, and yeah, it was pretty cool. I liked it. Wonder Man deserves an Oscar. Heck yeah. I was about to say. So I watched Hour of Wonder Man yesterday and today. What I love about Wonder Man is that it is not a superhero show. It is a show about a guy with superpowers who wants to play a superhero in a movie, but it's a show about characters. It's a show about people. And I love how it's a show where Trevor Slattery, he's offered freedom if he spies on this guy who is a superpowered threat according to damage control. Um, and if he pretends to become his friend to spy on him and gather enough evidence of him being a superpowered individual that they can then arrest, then he will be freed. Trevor will be free. But what happens when pretending to become his friend, he actually starts to like him and he sees how alone he is and how much of a good guy he is. And they do form a actual friendship. And I love that. I love how this is a show about two people who just become friends and stuff gets in the way of them being friends. And they both give everything for each other as friends. Because, like, Trevor Slattery, I love how he uses his past image as the Mandarin, the fake Mandarin at least. He uses it to, like, go on TV and say the big, like, explosion. That wasn't Simon. That was him. That was the Mandarin. Even though it wasn't, but he says that it was to take the file for him, and then he goes to jail, and then Simon gets to finish the movie. And then after that, though, he goes through out of this trouble to then break Trevor out of the jail, out of the prison. And then, yeah, it's a beautiful story about two best friends who bond over filmmaking and acting. And I loved that too, that element of it. Oh, it's such a great movie. Oh, not movie. Show. It's like a movie though, how amazing it is. Oh, I loved it so much. Honestly, I feel like it's the best show that the, MCU has made. Honestly, it's my favorite MCU show. It's amazing. Because it's a show that does take place in this superhero cinematic universe, but it's not a show about superheroes. It's a show about people. Yeah, I love that. But yeah, Wonder Man is like the movie Showtime 12. The movie Showtime 12. I should check that out then. If it's like Wonder Man, I will check that out. Ben Kingsley is Indian, not white. Interesting. I don't know where that came up, but yeah. If I said something that was accidentally incorrect, then yeah, my apologies. But I don't remember saying anything about that. But yeah, yeah, it was a great show, and yeah, okay, so this is my ranking and tier list of the entirety of the MCU. So, um, maybe I'll go over it real quick. In the S tier, we've got the original Iron Man, Captain America, First Avenger, Iron Man 3, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America, Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, The Guardians Holiday Special, Guardians 3, Loki, Season 2, specifically, Deadpool and Wolverine, Daredevil, Born Again, Seasons 1 and 2, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, oops, come on, yeah, what is, oh my gosh, okay, can I not scroll, oops, okay, fudge, okay, I kinda can't scroll now, can I, huh, okay, whatever, yep, okay, Ironheart, Fantastic Four, Marvel Zombies, Doctor Strange, Far From Home, and Wonder Man. And, oh, fun fact. Oh, that was a fun fact? Neat. And then the A tier, Captain Marvel, Loki, Season 1, Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Miss Marvel, Spider-Man No Way Home, Thor Love and Thunder, The Punisher. one last skill. In B tier, we got Iron Man 2, Ant-Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Oh, wait. No, Ant-Man and the Wasp, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, She-Hulk, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, Secret Invasion, Werewolf by Night, The Marvels, Agatha All Along, and Captain America Brave New World. In C, we have The Incredible Hulk, Black Panther, What If, didn't watch. Yeah, oops, I misspelled watch. I am so incredible. Um, yeah, didn't watch. The three things I didn't watch. And then in D, we have Black Panther. In F, Thor Ragnarok, What If Season 2 and 3, and Eternals. And yeah, that's it. My ranking. That sounds wrong. You know what I'm saying. Ranking. Now, not a W. This is my tier list. My tier list of the MCU. Yep. That took a yell for me to watch every MCU thing, but I'm happy that I did. And I can't wait for what's next to come from the MCU. And my takeaway after watching all of this is that the people who say that the MCU is dead now and isn't as good as it used to be, yeah, it may have some stinkers here and there, like Eternals, for instance, or Marvel's What If. I think it's still making some amazing stuff, like Wonder Man, for instance. I loved Wonder Man so much. And yeah, anyways, that is it for this live stream. I don't know, maybe I will do a edited down version of this to make a video out of it. I rambled a lot, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just leave this as a rambly, kind of messy live stream. But yeah, thanks to everyone who tuned in while I was live streaming, and Cartoon